Welcome everyone. Today I have a very exciting infinite blink build that doesn't require Temporalis. Yes, looking over here, my friend Helleios has just shared to me one of the latest update coming from the Korean content creators, and they have discovered a method to do this exactly with around 20 to 25 divine budget build. So yes, you can still be blinking almost indefinitely. Every 1 second you can blink and does tremendous damage. And also, you do not need Temporalis. A lot of our viewers has been explaining or giving us feedbacks that the Temporalis build is amazing, but the budget for the chess piece is over 200 or 300 divine, and it's not accessible to a lot of common players. So we have been looking around, and finally my friend has found a latest build that provides this particular result. As you guys can see in the demonstrations, this is a tier 18 bridge, and just to show you guys that you can melt everything without needing Temporalis. The combination at the moment is ridiculously powerful, and what is happening over here is, instead of having a flat cooldown reduction from Temporalis, we're stacking cooldown reduction on the gears, on the passives, on the gems, and also on the skill levels to reduce cooldowns in such a way that every second you can blink and does infinite auto damage as you loop around for tons of damage. And skipping a little bit forward to the boss, this is the Pinnacle boss, and that was 30 million HP. Yes, this is a budget 20 to 25 divine build that pretty much one-shotted the Pinnacle boss. Looking over here again, guys, that was a Pinnacle boss and it's gone. So yes, the build is very powerful, and in order to show you guys a little more, this is a tier 4 Simulacrum with wave 15, and the build can clear any content with the latest budget setup. It is incredibly powerful, and the build doesn't require you to have tons of divines, tons of investment. This build can work very strongly simply because of the combination of the skills, the damage, the abilities, and also the latest cooldown reduction. As you guys can see over here, this is the final wave of the tier 4 of the Simulacrum, and that was the clear, right? Super powerful build, and similar to all the builds, guys, what we'll do is we'll provide you with all the gears that is used in this build together with the skill links, the abilities, the passives, and also the juice, everything that's used in this build. Now, if you look behind me, I have also prepared additional notes to show you guys the breakpoint of those cooldowns, the budget that was used with this build, and you can see the screenshot of all the gears that was acquired for this build in order to test things out. I'll also give you guys additional information on getting higher quality versus getting higher levels, and how to get your blink level to higher so you can lower cooldowns even further. Together with abilities to teach you guys how to get more spirit for the build, what are the breakpoint for spirit, and additional advice and also tips on getting better stats and also the anointment for the build. This build can also deal additional damage together with increased block chance, which will increase your damage even further. Now, before we jump over to the builder's guide, we would like to say a thank you and also credits to Smoke, one of the Korean content creator who shared the initial version of this build. And also again, a big thank you to my friend Helleios, who has been testing and also making his own version of the build. You can see in the builder's guide, we are using a number of unique items, but even with the ingenuity build, as you can see over here, we bought the build for around 3 divine. You do not need a heavy investment, but the build have a greater ceiling. Should you have more budget, you can buy a better build. Should you have more budget, you can buy a better helmet. And should you have more budget, you can find a better gloves, and similarly. So this build has tons of ways of getting even more power, survivability, more damage, but the nature of the build is available around 20 to 25 divines for you to have a wonderful time. So yes, guys, as you can see in the replays, you can pretty much one-shot everything in the content with around 20 to 25 divine, and that is really amazing to make the strongest meta build work without the necessity of spending over 300 divines for the Temporalis chest. So coming over to a builder's guide. If you guys are curious of how the build will work with Temporalis chest, we do have a guide to show you guys how incredibly broken it is with the Temporalis chest. But of course, this is much more expensive but much stronger build. But you don't need to do billions of damage. This build already does tremendous damage. So how does it work? Is that we're dealing damage using the overpowered physical damage coming from Trample Toe, which is overlooped by killing the force walls that is auto-casted as we have cast on dodge. As we blink around, we'll be gaining additional energy with cast on dodge, and this will auto cast force walls and multiple force walls with fortress, spell echo, and also spell cascade. Those Force Walls that are summoned will be destroyed by Bone Cage, which has a really high base critical chance. Together with Ambush, Bone Cage can have up to 100% critical chance for massive damage that is coming with overkilling the low level Force Walls. As we deal overkill damage that becomes AoE, this physical damage is then rescaled back onto the additional Force Walls, which loops for tons, millions and also billions of damage. Previously, the build required Temporalis to lower the cooldowns of the Force Walls and also lower the cooldowns of Blink. But with the latest find and also testings with this particular unique shield that lowers cooldowns by 50%, and also finding higher levels of Blink and also quantity or quality of Blink can allow you to have much better skill scaling and also lower cooldowns coming from Blink. So even without Temporalis, you can see in the current version of the budget build, we have 1.2 seconds for Blink, 1.22 seconds for Force Wall, and that is enough to clear any content and also one-shot anything that is in the game, as you guys can see in the replays. So pretty much as you blink every 1 second, it is tremendously powerful as you trigger tens and hundreds instances of overlooping damage with the Force Walls and also with the overkill damage, one-shotting anything in the game. And you can see it is incredibly powerful with the loops and also combos. The best thing to this is everything is auto-casted. Now, in terms of the rest of the gears, you don't have to have Melting Maelstrom, you don't have to have all the perfect stats for those gears. As you guys can see the screenshots of a lot of those gears, the most extensive piece will be coming into a high energy shield chest. One of the reasons you want to have high energy shield is that we're actually not stacking spirit onto the gears. With this particular Ascension passive coming from the Invoker, we're not gaining spirit from equipment, but rather we're gaining spirit from higher energy shield. So this is one of the reasons we're investing a little bit onto a higher energy shield chest, which will in return help us to get tons of spirit to be achieving all of those trigger gems and also activating them for the best performance. So yes, the build has survivability with energy shield. Together, energy shield also scales with increasing spirit for the build, and this allows you to have both utility and also increased survivability. So now coming over to the skill links of the gems. So firstly, we have the Ascension skills with Unbound Avatar. This is combined with Persistence and also Cold, Fire, and also Lightning Mastery, which increases the rank of this particular spell. We will be running 2 casts on dodge. The first cast on dodge is combined with Force Wall to allow a low level Force Wall. So yes, you want a level 7 or even lower level Force Walls to be negatively corrupted -1 if you can, to have even higher overkill damage. So those Force Walls are combined with Fortress, Spell Cascade, Spell Echo, and also Magnify Effect to allow you to summon tons of Force Walls. Those Force Walls will then be combined with the second cast on dodge. The second cast on dodge will have 1 more Force Wall together with Bone Cage, which is the main damaging spell. In order to understand Bone Cage, I do recommend coming over to this video, which will explain a little further with the core mechanics over here. So pretty much, Bone Cage have a really high base chance, and it deals physical damage, which also scales with more physical damage. It is auto-triggering as it touches the Force Walls you summon. The game will treat the Force Walls we summon as enemies, so when a Bone Cage touches the Force Wall, a chain reaction occurs, and this is when you can see the explosion of white, and that pretty much one-shots everything in the game. So you can see against the boss, you just have to blink once. With enough blink energy, the boss gets one-shotted. And this is also the case everywhere you go across the game. One combination leads to multiple chain reactions simply because of this combination. So as you guys can see over here, one blink leads to an overlapping of damage lasting for over 1 to 2 seconds, which is really powerful. Now over here, we're combining the second cast on dodge with Force Wall, Bone Cage, Inspiration, Concentrated Effect for more damage, and also Ambush to give us 2 times more critical chance. This is a massive boost to critical chance. You just need 50% critical chance, and then this turns it into 100% critical chance for even higher damage. Now in terms of blink, we do want blink to be as high level as you can, together with high quality as you can, because both of those factors will help you to reduce cooldowns. Here we'll be combining this with Arcane Tempo with Ingenuity. It is optional to go with Energy Barrier or even Unbreakable, but it is not necessary. So if I come over to my game, what I do want to share with you guys is, you can see currently my blink is level 18 with quality 20. As you gain higher quality, you will have increased cooldown recovery, which is great. As you get higher levels, this also helps. But a small trick over here which I want to share with you guys is that if you look at this, if you're buying blink with a 23% quantity or quality, it is very cheap. It's around 5 exalt, 10 exalt, 10 exalt. But if you're looking at the market for blink with +1 level corruption, it is very expensive. Do not try to buy those for +1 level corruption. You can be doing what I'm planning to do in the next video to show you guys. You can be crafting those yourself and then corrupting those yourself. Because you do not need blink to higher socketing. You can just keep blink on 3 or 4 socket and that's it. And then you can be crafting, corrupting those blink gems yourself, potentially making some good profit, or just making sure this build works with a budget. Now finally, we have Green Fist, which can allow us to have tons of energy shield. It is optional to go with Mana Remnant if you guys do find yourself with additional energy shield, but this is not a must-have. And of course, you can be using Soul Offerings as your second weapon swap. As you get free skeleton minions, you can sacrifice them for tons of more damage with Obligation, with Dance Macabre, Fond of Rage, and even Feeding Frenzy may be giving us even higher damage. It is optional to even go for those because the skill itself gives you even more spell damage, which is already amazing by itself. So yes, what I meant by summoning the skeleton minions, if you find a secondary weapon swap with a Rattling Scepter, and this allows you to have the free skeleton minions which can then be sacrificed with Soul Offering. Because Rattling Scepter will give us 2 skeleton warriors, this is actually really good to have a weapon swap which allows you to go from this particular setup onto this particular setup for 2 free minions to be sacrificed for even higher spell damage. And if you guys recall, against the boss, that is what we did over here. You can see that before the boss, the skeleton minion gets sacrificed and then we gain the increasing of spell damage, which of course deals a lot of damage with the combination. Now coming over to the passives of this wonderful Invoker build. What we can see over here is we'll be getting additional perks over here to unbundle avatar. We'll be coming over here to gain additional spirit by stacking energy shield. And finally over here, we'll be getting more meta skill energy gain, which will save us a lot of points in the passive tree. And this is amazing to gain even more energy. As you perk along this way, some of the major nodes is going to be Internal Youth, which allows us to be recovering energy shield using our health potion. Together with the points over here that provide us with more trigger spell damage, with even more trigger spell damage. We want to be stacking intelligence together with energy shield as much as we can, because this is our survivability and this will give us even more mana. Over here we also have increased critical chance, and also here you can see a lot more increased critical chance. As we come down over here, we'll be getting 1 more socket of the charms. So you can have 2 charms, 1 for stun, 1 for frozen. And as we move over here, you'll be getting additional block chance because you're using a shield. This block chance can also be translated into increasing damage as you anoint your amulet with Lage Siege. So you'll be getting around 50% block chance, which means 50% increase of damage. And having higher block chance also means you become even more durable and also survivable. We also have additional cooldown reduction points over here that is great, and finally more cooldown reduction over here for even lower cooldowns for mouse spell casting. Now briefly going through the choices of the jewels my friend have selected. Now one of the most important jewels for this particular build setup, and this will cost you around 3 to 4 divines, is going to be a unique controlled metamorphosis diamond. This diamond should ideally allows you to perk into passives in a very large area, so you have to make sure the radius is correct. It is a very large radius, very large ring, which allows us to get multiple points like the points over here for forthcoming, and also the points that is overlapped over here with scatter crystal, and also the points that is over here. So notice that this has to be a very large ring for this to work. And we'll be getting pure chaos over here, which allows us to gain extra chaos damage. So if you come over to the screenshot before my friend bought those items, it is around 3 to 4 divine. If you're lucky, you can find it for about 3 divine. Sometimes people sell it for 4 divine. So what you're looking for is, you're looking for a ring with very large radius. You're looking for one with the least reduction to elemental resistance. You don't have to worry about the chaos resistance simply because you'll be immune to chaos resistance coming from chaos invocation, which I forgot to mention. So yes, you have chaos invocation. That means you don't have to have any chaos resistance. Now in terms of the juice for the build, ideally we want increased area of effect, increased energy shield, which is great, and also additional critical chance for spells and also additional critical damage for spells will be preferable. It is not a must-have to have the perfect juice, and as I show you guys over here with a few of the items that is selected, most of the juice will have increased area of effect, increased meta skill energy gain, and then anything that you get as a bonus with trigger spell damage, critical chance is a bonus. So ideally, with any of the rare juice that is left over, you want increased area of effect, increased meta skill energy gain, and then anything with energy shield increase, energy shield bonus, or increase of spell damage, spell critical chance can provide you with even high damage. But ideally, having 2 of the right effects is enough for the juice to get started for this build. Now coming over to the choices of items for this build, as we mentioned earlier guys, my friend has provided me with a lot of screenshots for each of the items as he was purchasing them. Of course, he didn't go to bargain or he didn't go for the lowest budget, but you can see a lot of items will try to be purchased around, less than 1 divine, and sometimes even though there are a few divine, you can even get those ones to be cheaper. So the estimated budget to get the build working is around 20 to 25 divine. And let's briefly go through some of the most important affixes onto those items. So in terms of the wand, you want increase in spell rank so you can have lower cooldowns for your Force Wall and also for your Blink. Together with extra damage as Cold and Lightning is preferable, and also additional casting speed, additional mana regen, additional mana can be helpful. And in terms of the helmet over here, you can see that we're stacking as much energy shield, percentage energy shield as we can. Getting resistance will help, bonus mana is great, additional rarity is a bonus. So we want as much energy shield as we can because this also scales towards increasing spirit. Now in terms of the amulet, you can pick any of the base. This particular base is not helpful because we're not regenerating HP, right? But we'll be getting additional spell damage, additional energy shield percentage, and also flat energy shield. Together with +3 ranks to all spells, again, we want to lower the blink cooldowns by increasing spells, by increasing spell ranks. We also have all resistance and also together with all attributes that can be very helpful. So again, those items are picked particularly for a cheaper budget. And we have talked about the anointment over there. In terms of the breach rings, we want increased cold damage, lightning damage, additional mana, additional resistance, and also some mana recovery on kill can also be great, but this is not a must-have. Now in terms of this unique shield, it can be corrupted with over 50% cooldown reduction, but this can be a little more expensive. You just want the cooldown reduction to be as high as you can. So if I come over to this trait filter, you can see around 50% cooldown reduction at the time of making this video, before the build becomes super popular. It is around 120 to around 150, and sometimes 1 divine. So this is when you get 50%. But if you go as high as 61%, all of a sudden it's 35 divine. But if you want to be a little budgety, it's going with 40% with cooldown reduction, all of a sudden it is 1 Exile at all. So a few percentage over here will matter a lot, but you want to adjust for your budget. I recommend going with something like 48%, and this is around 20 Exile. So notice that there's a big range for the shield, and you can get those shields for quite cheap. So you don't have to be spending too much divines or budget onto those shields to get it going. Similarly for the trample toe, you can get those pair of boots for double socketing, and this can allow you to have the converted 40% requirement to intelligence with the socket of the gems. Or you can be having increasing of the overpower damage percentage over 30%, which can also work. Now we have mentioned previously that the energy shield for the chest is the most important investment. And I think my friend spent about 13 divines on that chest piece. Yeah, 13 divines on this chest piece. What he mentioned is, ideally, you want over 1000 and also 20 energy shield if you can. And then any resistance you find is a bonus. So what this allows you to do is, this allows you to get pounds of spirit for your build to have the activation of your trigger gems. So again guys, you're getting more spirit by stacking every 6 of the energy shield for increasing spirit. Now as we keep going with the choice of the gears, you can see that the engineered build is a 56% engineered build, which my friend bought for 3 divine. You don't have to get the most expensive one, it still works. In terms of the gloves, you're going for more energy shield and also even high energy shield, together with any of the stats you're missing, like intelligence, dexterity, strength. together with more resistance. And of course, for the last ring, you have increase in mana. If you can, this one have increase in life because we went for a budget ring. You want increased cold damage, lightning damage, any of the stats, any resistance, and also together with more resistance. So what I do is I also provide you guys with all the screenshots before my friend bought those items. You can see the total cost of this build is around 20 to 25 divine at the current market. The price could go a little higher or a little lower, depends on how well you can search for the items and what are the combination of choices. Higher energy shield will help, but the higher energy shield you find, the items can be a little more expensive. So at the time, it took us around 20 to 25 divine to get the build working, and it is amazingly powerful. So now coming over to the skill rotations and also tips for the build. Well, the build is so simple and also so straightforward. You just have to hold down your blink, and because you're triggering over looping of multitude of spells, after you blink, everything still gets killed around you for the next second. And your blink is as low as 1 to 1.0203 second cooldown, and this allows you to be blinking around every 1 second. And this means, well, you're pretty much one-shotting everything. So this is very similar to the Temporalis build, except that you're not blinking every 0.1 second, which you probably don't need to. And this build works everything as well as that build. So this is definitely an amazing budget version of the build. Now, in terms of the boss fight, what you want to do is, before the start of the fight, you can go into your second weapon swap and then use your soul offerings to sacrifice your minions. And this allows you to sacrifice the minions you have and then gain tons of spell damage. And then just blinking onto the boss will deal enough damage to one-shot any of the Pinnacle boss. And similarly, in terms of any of the content in the game, you just blink around and everything will die around you. During this time, you do want to be a little careful. If monsters does have mana siphon, you want to blink out of the radius of the monsters. Together with picking up the remnants for the Green Fest will allow you to gain tons of energy shield. So you can see the build has around 5,000 energy shield, but as you pick up those remnants, you have over 10,000 energy shield for tons of defensiveness. So the build is extremely survivable with high block chance, high energy shield, and also deals ridiculous amount of damage using this budget setup. Now before we finish the video, for those of you that want to look into the written notes, I have written the details of the latest build in terms of the budget, in terms of the cooldowns, and in terms of what you're looking for. Ideally, you want to get your rank of blink to around 24 to 26 rank if possible. You want to have the blink similar to the cooldowns of the Force Wars or even lower cooldowns, and that will be preferable. You're looking at around 20 to 25, maybe 30 divine budget depending on the time of the day you buy those items and also how rushed you want to buy those items. You can be trying to ask for discounts, maybe half a divine there, maybe 1 to 2 divine there to make the build a little cheaper. Of course, you want to be stacking energy shield. Because we'll be getting spirit with energy shield, you want to have at least 270 spirit to make everything work. This means you have 2 cast on dodge, plus blink, plus Green Fest. You do not need the mana remnant unless you have additional spirit. And here, ideally, you want to look for the over 1000 energy shield chest piece. You want to look for higher cooldown with the shield, and then stacking energy shield, intelligence, maximum mana will help you with the build. Now, we have talked about finding those items, and I'll have the links available to find and also search those items with a cheaper filter. And over here, in terms of the anointment, you are anointing with Light Siege. And this will allow you, combined with this massive keynote, to have even higher increase in damage. So all the written notes will be available for you guys in the links below. And again, a big thank you for my friend Helleios and also the Korean content creator Smoke for sharing us this wonderful setup. And this is amazing, right? Making a build that is around 30 divine or 25 divine or even 20 divine as good as a 300 divine build using Temporalis. So what I do now is I'll provide you guys with the entire replay of the bridge and also a tier 4 with wave 15 with the Simulacrum, together with all the gears, all the skills, and also all the links and also all the passive that was used for this build for you guys to have a look and also learn to follow the build. Now hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least one Path of Exile video a day, and this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos.
I'm unable.
We that dreamed. We in nightmare. We that are one. We that fail. Believe me, you will fall. Exile.
Not yet. I'm unable.
Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.